unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Gennady Golovkin and the new excuses that were presented for him going through a hellacious fight with Derevyanchenko. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, Gennady Golovkin and Sergiy Derevyanchenko put on a very exciting fight. So for both of the combatants, wish them a speedy recovery. And thank you. You know, as a boxing fan, they both showed heart, things like that. And it was a hellacious fight for both. So they both, you know, this is a type of fight that could have taken years off of their career. You know, if you put them in, you know, with the next order of business, that type of fight could have put some mileage on them for real, where they might not look the same in their next fight. You know, it was that type of war with Golovkin and Derevyanchenko. They were just, you know, at each other. And it was a good fight, fun fight, but Derevyanchenko definitely, to me, won the fight. And Derevyanchenko went to his social media and he says that he believes he won the fight. And the world's seen, Madison Square Garden, I'm just paraphrasing, they seen what happened, the world's seen what happened, and he thinks he won the fight. And I agree with him. You know, in fact, to the point where DAZN spoke with Andre Rozier, you know, semi-late in the fight, and they asked how he thought he was doing. And I thought he was being a lot more lenient. You know, he was saying, oh, we got some rounds to pick up, or we might be down. And I'm like, no, you aren't down. You know, I don't think he was down. And this is the second Andre Rozier fight where Rozier came out with a phenomenal game plan. And I really feel his game plan with his fighter beat the former champion and the more heralded Gennady Golovkin. Very bad night. I mean, when Golovkin post-fight says something to the effect of, he won the belt, the vacant IBF belt, and he says something to the effect of, it was a bad night for me and a good night or a great night for Sergiy Derevyanchenko. I mean, that kind of tells you what you need to know. Derevyanchenko was definitely robbed. Not, like I said, people have to understand the difference between a competitive fight and a very close fight. You know, a fight could be somewhat competitive enough to, you know, have your interest, but you can really decipher the rounds and see who's winning and who's getting the best of the exchanges, who's winning more of 3 minutes of the particular round. You know, it's a competitive fight, elite fight. So you would expect a former champion like Golovkin with 300, 400 amateur fights and, you know, mostly wins on his pro resume to have heart and show that the veteran spirit. You know, there was points in the fight where I think Derevyanchenko had Golovkin so frustrated. Golovkin was doing very subtle, dirty tactics. Now, what I've always been taught, like for boxing, is if you can get away with it, get away with it. Luckily for Golovkin, the referee kind of assisted him and kind of interfered and meddled at weird, I don't know why Harvey Doc was doing that, but he was jumping in at weird sections and breaking them up and those types of things. But, you know, he also didn't warn Golovkin. Golovkin did a lot of rabbit punching and punching behind the head. If I'm not mistaken, the actual knockdown in round 1 that people keep bringing up looked like a punch behind the head. So technically, that, you know, is that really a knockdown if it's an illegal punch that caused it? You know, go watch it again. So Derevyanchenko did his thing. You know, there's a lot of people who are recycling the same 2 phrases or 2 talking points. The knockdown made the difference. But boxing is a sweet science. It's so much more than power or a knockdown or who has a good chin. You know, some guys won't go down, like Ruslan Provodnikov. That don't mean he's winning because he don't go down, you know. So it's not a tough man contest. This is a sweet science. Hit and don't get hit. And when I look at the game plan, the strategy, and the execution of those things, Derevyanchenko was definitely the winner of this fight. You got to look at the scoring criteria for boxing. Defense is included, something they're supposed to look at. Ring generalship, effective, keyword, effective aggression. Triple G didn't look his offensive self. Normally, Triple G's not really much on the side of defense anyway, so that was already the same. That's how it's always been in all his fights for the most part. Not like crazy head movement. He'll just try to evade shots, back up and shit like that, freeze, things like that. More so than what a Mayweather or Pernell Whitaker or Canelo would do. Like, Canelo will like get out the way of shots that are coming, that are barely grazing by. Mayweather, of course, does it. Golovkin don't really do that. He'll back his whole body up. Canelo can back up his upper body or use some head movement to create that moving target and, create angles and make it harder to hit. So let's talk about the excuses. I'm hearing all types of excuses on why Golovkin looked like this. They're saying it was because he was sick, he was ill, and he kept it tight-lipped and secret. People are blaming Jonathan Banks, right? Saying the switching trainer. See, the jig is up. The jig is up. You have to look at just those two excuses. There's more out there. Just those two excuses. He's old. He got old overnight. Just those two excuses, the first two ones. How you gonna say that Gennady Golovkin lost because he was sick, but then they say it was Jonathan Banks? Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If he was sick and that was the reason responsible for his performance, then what is Jonathan Banks? What could he have done if the man was sick? Like if someone was ill and had pneumonia and that was the reason they looked like that or whatever, then what does Jonathan Banks have to do with it? So to me, it just shows you that old media is dead, and it shows that the fans are so desperate to try to save somebody that they've uplifted in the boxing world and made him seem larger than life. And this is the fall from grace. So they don't know what to say. They don't really have any certified, like, concrete reason. So they just throw out a bunch of patsies and scapegoats as to why he looked like this. But he looked like this because Derevyanchenko, one, is a good fighter, had a good strategy. Two, his trainer, Andre Rozier, is an underrated trainer who has a game plan and has fought Curtis Stevens versus Golovkin, Danny Jacobs versus Golovkin, Danny Jacobs versus Derevyanchenko, and then now, Derevyanchenko versus Golovkin. So he had a lot of experience, like being on, like, sparring Danny Jacobs with Derevyanchenko, training Derevyanchenko, and then training to try to beat, which he did successfully with Danny Jacobs, to beat Derevyanchenko. And then also, like I said, he already had previous fighters like Curtis Stevens and then his son, Danny Jacobs, that he trained, and I thought Jacobs pulled it off. Curtis Stevens had some success in the Golovkin fight, but he also got knocked down and eventually stopped. But Jacobs, I thought, beat Triple G. So, moreover than, people always go for the bullshit, low-hanging fruit. Oh, the knockdown saved him, or he was sick. Bro, Derevyanchenko is a good fighter. They had a good strategy. Golovkin, we now know, without a doubt, what he doesn't like. He don't like that body work. He up top, he got a chin, So now, the bad thing about a fight like Derevyanchenko is it takes miles from you. It's going to chip away at the confidence of a guy like Triple G. Triple G's existence is kind of predicated on that kind of Mike Tyson aura, boogeyman power, and he hits so hard, heavy-handed. Look at how menacing he is. He's, good boy, smiley, Mr. Rogers shit. And then he's a killer when he's hitting you and shit. That Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde angle, but that shit's dead now. People can now see that Triple G is definitely beatable. He lost to Canelo in the second fight. I thought that was right. He lost to Jacobs' fight, and I think Derevyanchenko beat him. So, all the excuses, take them, put them in a little bottle, and throw them in the ocean. We don't care about those. New media has been telling you the same thing about Triple G. Good fighter, silver medalist, but people were saying he was #1 pound for pound. He could beat Bernard Hopkins and Hagler, Hearns, and where did you guys get this from? Where did this come from? And this is what happens if you have the complexion for the protection. They are very quick, they being old media, very quick to anoint you status. You instantly, it's like we live in the instant gratification era. So Chocolatito, whoever they like, Tyson Fury, Lomachenko, Triple G, before you've accomplished what other prime fighters, a lot of times minorities, especially black fighters, have had to accomplish, before you even do that, they're already anointing you, saying you're the best, and they give you the media push behind it. And then now when you have that fall from grace and turns out maybe your skills were overhyped, or, your style to beat was more, overstated, now this is where old media starts backing off the block. They either do a turncoat 160 and then they start doing what they did in the venue and start booing Triple G, and then they just hop on to the next fighter who's winning. That's what some of them do, fair weather fans. But then the others make a ton of excuses and stuff. Notice people, they talk about me, say, oh, you sucking Floyd's dick, you love Floyd Mayweather, blah, blah, blah. I never had to make no excuses for Floyd. Floyd handled it in the ring. So what are we talking about? So who's really biased? Floyd has never put up a performance ever that looked like Golovkin. If you have the skills, you got the skills. You figure it out and you do it. If someone beats you, then they beat you. But, I don't care. I don't want to hear about Castillo or Maidana, because Floyd didn't look like that. Triple G looked shitty. Triple G looked really bad. And some people are saying the excuse of Triple G is old. I don't even so much think that is age. I think Triple G had always been put on a pedestal well before he had earned it. And, I'm not saying age doesn't affect you in any way, because I think it does. But I think more so is he never possessed really those core, real fundamentals, like mostly on the defensive side. He has good offensive skills. He has a good chin, good jab. But he didn't have a lot of those like well-rounded styles that's going to keep you preserved. 37 is not the oldest. With today's medicine and recovery and like nutritional science, 37 is not that old for a fighter. You've seen Mayweather school up Canelo, who was 13 years his junior, when Canelo was like 23 and Mayweather was like 37. So don't tell me about age. I seen Bernard Hopkins beat Kelly Pavlik when he was 44, 45 years old. Don't tell me about age, And it goes the other way around. We've seen a 20-year-old Mike Tyson fight Trevor Berbick, who has a win over Muhammad Ali and was the older champion. You get what I'm saying? So it goes both ways. And in this case, it just wasn't Triple G's night. I think most of the world feels this way. He didn't look good. I seen very little adjustments. So it looks like the end of the career is near. And this really hurts DAZN, because DAZN is they were so desperate to get him. They gave Triple G equity. They gave him all types of perks to sign. They promised him Canelo, who it doesn't look like Canelo wants to fight him. Who knows if Canelo wants to fight him now? Do you think Canelo wants to fight Triple G now after he's looking like that? If anything, he'll want to fight him because he'll feel confident that he can knock him out for sure. Because Triple G is definitely regressing. But from a business perspective, DAZN, it looks like they're going to catch an L, because Triple G looks like he's on his way out. And you've already paid into the Triple G for lackluster fights in terms of what they produced financially. Although the Derevyanchenko-Golovkin fight was good, it was poorly promoted. It looked like there were holes in the seats. It didn't look like this big, massive event. Again, the fight was good itself, but the thing with boxing is people have to feel it's a good fight and turn up, and show up and show out, because they think it's going to be a good. If they don't think it's going to be a good fight and then they watch it from home and it's a pleasant surprise, that's something different. But I'm talking about buying tickets, the venue. It just wasn't well promoted. So it turned out to be a good fight, but I don't think it was promoted like this major event. You're giving Triple G $30 million or whatever from the reports in 2 fights, and he's looking like he did. Even in the Steve Rolls, he was getting touched. Steve Rolls had no experience, and Steve Rolls was like connecting on him. So, at this rate, I don't see Triple G beating Charlo or Andrade or Canelo 3. Hell, even Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders is interesting because I think his power is the most manageable, and Triple G does have a chin. But out of Canelo, Charlo, and Andrade, I think Billy Joe Saunders' power and style is more manageable. Like Andre throws southpaw, he has speed, so you know he's gonna have some power with his. We know Charlo hits hard, and we know Canelo hits hard. So, but Saunders, I think, you know, looking like that, he could tire Golovkin out, and then pick him apart, you know, and frustrate him. So, hell of an investment for DAZN. And Eddie Hearn, he picked up Golovkin. Looks like too late because Golovkin's stock plummeted. Period. People saying robbery. You never seen them act like this with Golovkin. And even old media people like ESPN and Dan Rayfield, they had Derevyanchenko winning. And for the life of me, I cannot understand how some people allegedly believe that Triple G won rounds 11 and 12. What was Triple G doing that was so impressive in rounds 11 and 12? I would love to know that in the comment section. Why people are saying it was a close fight, and it really wasn't that close, you know? Why did you give Triple G rounds 11 and 12? If you turned on the TV and it was Telemundo and it was two fighters from Mexico and you weren't familiar with either and you watched it from start to finish, tell me you would have had Triple G winning. No brand, no affinity, no t-shirts from this fight. You just watched two blank fighters, you know, or if they had a mask on or something or no name on their trunks. You mean to tell me you would have had Triple G winning? You would have gave him rounds 11 and 12? Man, get the hell out of here. I don't believe it because I don't think he deserved it. I don't think, especially the 12th round. What did he do? He was clinching. Man, Triple G looked bad. And this is a sign that you're looking bad. And, you know, people can make all the excuses and father time, but the sign that you're looking bad is when you can no longer do what you're known for. You know, that's my boxing. That's the boxing ego rule of thumb. When throughout your career, you've been able to do X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden you don't look like that, that's a problem. Like, let's say Robert Guerrero, he's known for having a chin. But then he had such a chin, he took Mayweather's beating, Keith Thurman beat him and dropped him. He got to Aaron Martinez and had a quick turnaround. Aaron Martinez has 4 knockouts in his whole career, right? And he almost knocked out Robert Guerrero. That's not a good sign, because how do you have a chin that withstands Thurman and Mayweather's precision and power, but then a guy like Aaron Martinez has you out on your feet, you know? And then he ended up ultimately losing to Omar Figueroa and David Peralta. That's how you can tell Robert Guerrero has seen better days, you know? Same thing with Bermane Stiverne. How do you go from not getting knocked down technically, even though he really did, against Wilder for 12 rounds, and then Derek Rossi, you fight him in December of that same year, and you get dropped by Derek Rossi and, you know, take a bunch of time off? That's a sign that fighters have taken too much damage, punishment, or father time, you know, just whatever. They're not fully who they once were. And for me, I think Golovkin became complacent. DAZN, all that money that they overpaid him, it led to complacency. He's making big paychecks. You don't have to worry, you don't have to struggle. And it took a bit of bite out of him. Took a bit of hunger. That's why after the Canelo fight, the second fight, he made so much money. He took like a year and a half off. That's not good. He's 37 years old. He got to be active. There was a point in time where Golovkin would fight 3-4 times a year. And then, you know, no longer are those days. And Pacquiao fought 2 times a year. Golovkin fought, you know, Pacquiao fought Broner and Keith Thurman, and he's 40. This year, I went to both of them. He fought Adrian Broner and Keith Thurman. These are formidable guys in and around his division, right? Ranked guys. And he fought both of them this year at age 40. Triple G fought fucking Steve Rolls, and then Derevyanchenko, who almost got stopped by a 54-pound Jack Kukule in his last fight, and got dropped by Danny Jacobs and lost to Jacobs. And it was Struggle City. It's not looking good, people. But anyway, I just had to make the video. Enough with the excuses. Just please stop. Triple G, that's the performance he put up. Shout out to him for getting through it without getting knocked down, or, you know, biting down and not getting knocked out. But Triple G looks like food from now on. You know, who's not going to be inspired by that and feel like top guys, of course, and feel that they can beat him. And I think aside from the money angle, I think part of it is that, you know, Canelo beating him. I think the wars with Canelo, while you guys are sitting up here bickering of Canelo if he robbed him and whatever, the effects of those fights with Danny Jacobs. You know, people wanted to argue about with me, oh, Jacobs didn't win that, how can you believe it? Bro, I'm telling you, the Jacobs, even the Kell Brook fight a little bit, but primarily the Jacobs fights in 24 rounds with Canelo, that's what's really taking the toll on Golovkin. It's not just the age, because if you would have put Triple G for the last couple of years in with the level of competition that he had been facing previously, then he wouldn't be looking like this. If he fought Vanes Martirosyan and then you put him in with four more Steve Rolls and Vanes Martirosyan and move guys up like he's done through his career, then it wouldn't be nothing. It wouldn't be no big dealy. You know, I don't think he would have looked like that. The level of competition has risen, so the fights are now harder, and now we're getting to really see what we should have been able to see from the beginning. Triple G came in the middleweight division at a point where it was stale. It lay dormant. The only guys he could have fought were like Cotto, and that's not even really a true middleweight. You know, that's why Cotto didn't really want to fight him. You know, he wasn't even a real true middleweight like that, right? And even still, I still pressured Cotto to fight him. I said, hey, you got the belts, then you a target. You know what I'm saying? So I still pressured him. Then 40-year-old Sergio Martinez. Those are the only guys that, you know, didn't look like they swerved him. And Canelo at a point, but Canelo already redeemed himself and fought him and beat him once. So, you know, the whole world's coming crashing down for old media, and I think they realize it. All the stuff that they said is just not looking true. And I think Golovkin has become complacent. His personality seems a bit more snooty since he got all this money. Like, oh, I don't mention the C word. But then you have that type of performance and have the audacity to mention Canelo yourself, say you still want to fight him. I'm not interested. Simply put, I'm not interested in Canelo Triple G3 one bit. It just doesn't do it for me. So if he wants to redeem himself, he needs to rematch Derevyanchenko, Charlo, or Andre. That's really it. You know, maybe even a Billy Joe Saunders. We Unpacked, coming to you live. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comments section. You know, this is what we do. If you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. But the cat's out the bag with the whole Golovkin shit. This is everything they feared that I've been telling you guys, all coming out at one time. It's that simple. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.